Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today, I'm going to do my review of WWE's Saturday night's main event. Starting off tonight, man, we have a tag team matchup. It is Sami Zayn teaming up with CM Punk to take on Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker. This was pretty much a grudge match. The match itself, it was a decent match. Back and forth matchup between both teams with Rollins and Bron Breakker keeping the pace of the match. CM Punk hits an elbow drop off the top rope for a near fall. Rollins then hits a pedigree on Punk in the middle of the ring. Zayn then hits a springboard moonsault to the outside. Rollins and Punk then both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Zayn hitting an exploder suplex on Bron Breakker, sending Breakker into the corner. Zayn then goes for a Helluva Kick, but Heyman stops Sami Zayn. Zayn looks confused. All of a sudden, Bronson Reed comes out of nowhere and attacks CM Punk. Zayn's left all alone in the middle of the ring. Breakker hits a spear on Zayn in the middle of the ring, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, or winners of the match, are Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker. After the match, Bronson Reed gets in the middle of the ring. Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker have a stare down in the middle of the ring, but Seth Rollins comes around Bron Breakker and he embraces Reed. Reed then seemingly looks like he's going to be the third guy of Heyman's new stable, but then Reed goes to the top rope, hits a devastating tsunami off the top rope on CM Punk. A couple of things I want to talk about, man, with this matchup, and I will talk a little bit more in detail towards the end of the podcast. You know, originally when this match was announced, I wasn't against it. I wasn't against this match at all. The thing that really killed me with this matchup, man, and I am not the only person that's going to be saying this, I'm sure a lot of other people have said this, Saturday night's main event, especially this match, was severely commercial heavy. There was about 3 to 4 commercials throughout this entire match, and roughly there's about 30 minutes of wrestling, I think, in total for this entire show. This show was very commercial heavy. I mean, honestly, for what it's worth, I think WWE made their entire ad revenue alone through 2025 just with this event alone. I mean, there were so many commercials throughout this event, and it takes away a lot from the match. And this is one of those prime examples. A lot of people were anticipating this matchup, especially with what Bron Breakker, Seth Rollins, and Paul Heyman is doing as of late. A lot of people were anticipating this match, of what was going to happen, what was the outcome of this matchup. There's a lot of heat and hostility here between CM Punk still with Paul Heyman, after what Paul Heyman seemingly did to CM Punk. So a lot of people were anticipating this matchup. A lot of people were excited about this match. But then when you get to commercial breaks, and these commercials are going 2 minutes, 3 minutes throughout this entire match, where it takes a lot away from this specific match. And it's a huge letdown, man. It's a humongous letdown. I think the biggest elephant in the room, though, with this is Bronson Reed. A lot of people, including myself, were wondering if there was going to be a third guy for this seemingly new Dangerous Alliance stable that Paul Heyman is trying to create with the help of Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker. A lot of people were wondering, speculating who was going to be that third guy. I think I talked about this like a week or two ago, that I thought, most notably, the person that makes the most sense would be Drew McIntyre, with the fact that he has, serious heat with, Roman Reigns, CM Punk. So Drew McIntyre, on paper, seemed like he was going to be the third guy. Well, it seems like that's not going to be the case after what Bronson Reed just did by hitting a tsunami, pretty much laying out CM Punk in the middle of the ring, leaving him helpless. So it seems like Bronson Reed is, in fact, going to be the third guy that's going to be a part of this new stable that's being headlined by with Seth Rollins. And to be honest with you, man, I'm all for it. Bronson Reed is a monster. And to bring him back into the fold, he's been away for, with injury for a little while. To bring him back into the fold, have him align himself up with Paul Heyman, Bronson Reed, Bron Breakker, and Seth Rollins alone, man. Anybody staring across the ring from these 3 guys, man, it's going to be a rough night. Bronson Reed is a monster. Then you got Bron Breakker, and you got Seth Rollins. I mean, this stable is looking very intriguing. And honestly, I look forward to what's going to happen on Monday Night Raw, man, especially with, hopefully, there's some kind of rebuttal with Bronson Reed, and maybe Paul Heyman would say, hey, you know what, this is the third guy. This is the third guy in my new stable. We are looking to take over Monday Night Raw, and we are looking to, hopefully, have the opportunity to wear championship gold here relatively soon, especially when it pertains to Seth Rollins. Moving on from that, we have Zelina Vega defending the Women's U.S. title against Chelsea Green. I thought it was an okay match. Back and forth matchup between Vega and Green, with Vega keeping the pace of the match. Vega hits pretty much a botched 619 on Chelsea Green. Piper Niven then attacks Zelina with the referee being distracted, but Zelina Vega hits a code red off the top rope, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and still women's United States champion, is Zelina Vega. A couple of things I want to talk about this match too, man. Look, for what it's worth, I was initially when Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce announced women's singles titles, not just the women's championship titles, but new mid-card titles for the women. A lot of people were against it. I was not. I thought it was a new avenue to highlight the women on the women's roster and give them something else more to fight for besides the women's championships, the women's world title and the women's universal title. It gives them more opportunity to have TV time with adding the addition of these new mid-card titles. As of late, though, bro, I think it's a mistake. To be honest with you, man, I think there's no need for these titles. There's really not. I don't know what the hell is going on with this, and I'm not trying to sit here and advocate for anybody to lose their job, especially within WWE. I know there's been a lot of releases, and there's still people up in arms about those certain releases that just recently happened in WWE. But I'm going to be honest when I say this, man. I am very shocked and surprised at this juncture that Zelina Vega still has a job within WWE. It's not... there's a lot of things, obviously, that goes into certain releases within WWE, and usually they have a lot of, releases after WrestleMania weekend. I am honestly surprised. And like I said, I will reiterate this. I am not advocating for anybody to lose their job. I'm not. But when you look at some of the other talents that were let go, and you look at the storylines and the progression they were doing when they were there before they were let go, I mean, compared to a Zelina Vega, I mean, it's night and day, bro. I mean, you look at Braun Strowman. Now, I get Braun Strowman was dealing with some injuries, but Braun Strowman was in storylines. And I mean, he also put Jacob Fatu on the map before he became U.S. champion. So they were really utilizing Braun Strowman. You look at someone like, Cora Jade. You look at someone like, who just got released? Cora Jade, Braun Strowman, Jakara Jackson from NXT was another one. There were some really good names that just got released from WWE that were a little bit more productive than Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega really hasn't done shit in WWE for quite some time. I'm just keeping it real, man. Look, like I said, I'm not trying to say that I want her to be fired. I'm not sitting here saying that. But if you look at the recent releases compared to what Zelina Vega has been doing, I would say roughly in the past 6 months to a year, it's not even close, bro. It's not. I'm very shocked and surprised that she still has a job within WWE. To be honest, I just, to me, the botches in this matchup, I mean, she botched a move that was, pretty much tailor-made for Zelina Vega due to the help that she was getting help from Rey Mysterio. This was Rey Mysterio's move. This was her mentor. Someone that she's been around for months with, being a part of the LWO. So to see Zelina botch this move was rough to watch, man. And, Vega, it's not like she's been out with injury or anything else like that, but it seemingly seems like she still has ring rust in the ring. And this match wasn't needed. This U.S. Women's Championship match was not needed. It was lackadaisical. It's always Chelsea Green versus Zelina Vega. There's not enough importance to these mid-card titles. There's not. And Zelina Vega is not helping that by any stretch of the means. And to be honest with you, like I said, I'll go on a limb here and I'll be on this hill by myself. I'm surprised, very surprised that Zelina Vega still has a job within WWE. The production value in Zelina hasn't really been there. The overall push for Zelina has not been there. I understand that she's the current women's U.S. title, but that title doesn't mean jack shit right now in WWE. It just doesn't. I think a lot of people gave a shit less about this matchup. And by the way, if people could say, she's still women's U.S. champion and they booked this match. Bro, they booked this match literally last minute. I think the day of the Saturday night's main event. It was very last minute. So clearly it's not that much of an importance if they booked this match last minute with no storyline, no build between Zelina Vega and Chelsea Green at all. So that's my stickler with this is the fact that there's not a lot of importance around these women's mid-card titles. There's just not. And for Zelina, I'm surprised, bro, that she still has a job with WWE. Malachi Black, Aleister Black, I'm a huge fan. And I get it. It's a business. And I made this abundantly clear when we were talking about the news about WrestleMania 42 going back to Las Vegas. I understand it. It's a business. But if we're looking at it also from a business standpoint, how much money and revenue are you really making with Zelina Vega? Are you selling a bunch of merch? Are you, are ticket sales, flying on the shelves right now because of someone like Zelina Vega? No, it's not. It's not. There's no significant push for Zelina. She's not connected to any major storylines right now, and there's no major storylines in her defense around any of those mid-card titles. There's just not. You could look at Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria, but the storyline wasn't with the title. The storyline was some kind of beef that was going on between Lyra and Becky Lynch. And they were trying to highlight it around that Intercontinental title. That was just going off of what happened at WrestleMania when they were trying to go after the women's tag team titles against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, where they were unsuccessful in beating Liv and Raquel Rodriguez at WrestleMania, and they didn't walk out WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. And then obviously Becky turned heel. So didn't really have a lot to do with the title, more or less. It had a lot to do with the fact that Becky turned her back on her best friend and turned heel on Lyra Valkyria. So there's not really a lot of storyline wrapped around these women's mid-card titles. And, you know, honestly, for what it's worth, I don't understand they booked this match last minute, but they could have done without this goddamn match. To be honest with you, man. And like I said, I'm going to go on a limb here and say that I'm very surprised that Zelina Vega still has a job with WWE. Moving on from that, we have John Cena versus R-Truth. The one thing I will take notice in this matchup that I thought it was kind of cool, that R-Truth comes out to the ring with the John Cena music and the John Cena gear. I thought that was hilarious. The match itself, it was an okay match. Back and forth matchup between John and R-Truth, with John keeping the pace of the match. John hits a 5-knuckle shuffle on R-Truth. R-Truth then gets up, hits a 5-knuckle shuffle of his own on John. R-Truth then hits an AA on John Cena for a near fall. John then hits a low blow on R-Truth with the referee being distracted, followed by an AA, pins for the 3. And your winner of the match is John Cena. After the match, John then hits R-Truth with the Universal title. Moving on from that, we got a steel cage match. It is Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. I thought this was probably, if not the best match of the night. Back and forth matchup between McIntyre and Priest, with McIntyre keeping the pace of the match. McIntyre then hits a suplex off the cage, sending Priest down to the ring below. Drew then hits a Claymore kick on Priest for a near fall. Priest and McIntyre both exchange in the middle of the ring, with McIntyre hitting a South of Heaven chokeslam on Priest for a near fall. McIntyre then gets up, hits Priest with a chair shot. Priest then hits Drew with a chair shot of his own. Priest then hits a South of Heaven South of Heaven chokeslam on Drew. And Priest then hits a concerto on Drew McIntyre. He singles for the referee to open the cage door. He opens the door. Damian Priest walks out of the ring. He looks back. Drew McIntyre is laid out in the middle of the ring, and then the winner of the match is Damian Priest. I thought this was a good match, man, to be honest with you. You know, I also found out, too, that it seemingly sounds like Drew McIntyre is going to be taking some time off. He's not going to be on WWE television for the foreseeable future. To be honest with you, I felt like it was one of those things where I think he just took some time off and then came back. And now he's going to take some time off and take an extended vacation. He's not going to be on television for the foreseeable future. And we'll see how it plays out. Hopefully when Drew does come back, though, he's not, trying to finish business with Damian Priest. I think they did all they can do in the steel cage match. Hopefully he doesn't come back and wants to go after Damian Priest once again. But it is kind of odd to me with McIntyre taking some time off, because if I'm not mistaken, when McIntyre came back into the fold, man, they really wanted to push McIntyre a lot and put him in a lot of high-profile storylines into leading into SummerSlam this year. So we're going to see how it plays out. I mean, SummerSlam's not until August, but, from what I understand, they were going to put him into, some significant roles on television and for the foreseeable future, but now he's going to be off TV for a while, taking a long, extended vacation. So we'll see what happens with Drew McIntyre, man. Moving on from that, we go into the main event of Saturday night's main event. It is Jey Uso defending the World Heavyweight title against Logan Paul. I thought it was, for what it's worth, I thought it was an okay match at best. Back and forth matchup between Jey and Logan, with Jey keeping the pace of the match. Jey hits an Uso splash off the top rope, goes for a cover, but John pulls the referee out of the ring. John then attacks Jey. All of a sudden, Cody Rhodes' music hits. He comes out to the ring. He attacks John. Jey then hits a spear on Logan, followed by Jey Uso going to the top rope, hitting an Uso splash on Logan Paul. Pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Jey Uso. Hats off to Jey Uso for getting the win in this matchup. Couple of things I want to talk about, man, when it pertains to Saturday night's main event before I get the hell up out of here. Number one, was it a great event? No, it was not. To be honest with you, this PLE, if you want to call it that, was very commercial heavy. A lot of matches I feel like they were kind of booked on the fly. I mean, I understand Jey Uso and Logan Paul was, planned before Saturday night's main event, but it was also, to me, honestly, it was a filler match. I didn't think, if they would have had Logan Paul walk out with that World Heavyweight title, it would have been a serious problem. Serious problem. I feel like the match alone with Jey Uso and Logan Paul probably roughly, with just wrestling alone, probably roughly went 5 to 10 minutes. It was very short, man. And, my thing is, obviously there's build up now that Jey had beat Logan. The next opponent that Jey will have, most likely at Money in the Bank, is going to be Gunther, where Jey will defend the World Heavyweight title against Gunther, most likely happening at Money in the Bank. And we'll see if Jey is successful in that matchup by defeating Gunther and retaining the World Heavyweight title. But the match card itself, man, it was the way they planned this card, it was just very lackadaisical. We had the Zelina Vega match with Chelsea Green, which I just mentioned earlier. I was not a huge fan of that. The commercial-heavy first match, where it was a tag team match that everybody was anticipating, where CM Punk was teaming up with Sami Zayn to take on Rollins and Braun Breaker. The most exciting aspect of that entire match was Bronson Reed finally returning and seemingly joining Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, and Braun Breaker. That was probably the best part of the entire night. This is my issue with WWE, man, and this is one of the things that if I was a WWE fan and only a WWE fan, this is something that I would definitely be 100% worried on. The direction of where this company is going at this point and at this juncture within the company, and now that Triple H is taking over the realm and Nick Khan and TKO with Ari Emanuel, if you're really looking at the narrative with WWE right now, I'm not sitting here saying that they're not the best ticket in town. I'm not sitting here saying that. But I told you guys when they made that WrestleMania 42 announcement, when they pulled out of New Orleans and now going seemingly back to Las Vegas, this is a business move here. And WWE is pushing more towards the business aspect of professional wrestling rather than making memories and making moments and focusing on the wrestling within WWE. You can totally see a shift in the tide where, okay, we're not focused on the wrestling aspect anymore. We're focusing on the business aspect of WWE. I'm not sitting here saying that's a bad thing, but when you're going into this and you're pro-business and not giving a shit about the wrestling, that's when it starts to affect the company. You can make all the money in your world. I mean, Tony Khan he has about the same money, if not more money, than WWE has right now. But when you're focused on the business, it affects the wrestling. With the move they pulled out of New Orleans and now going back to Las Vegas, seemingly having a residency in Las Vegas, where we're going to have WrestleManias, in and out of Vegas for the foreseeable future, it's going to be a hard sell for a lot of fans that want to see WrestleMania, that don't want to keep flying out to Vegas every year to see Vegas. They want to go to different states, different cities around the world or around the country. Having it almost exclusively in Vegas could be a very bad move for WWE. And I mentioned that when I talked about the news and rumors about WrestleMania being pulled away from New Orleans. This was one of those other, definitions of this. The Saturday's main event was so fucking bad last night that it was more ads and commercials than it was actually pro wrestling. I think someone actually mentioned that it felt like it was 30 to 35 minutes of solely wrestling, where the rest of the 2-hour show was solely for commercials. There was a lot of commercials during this event, and it took away a lot from the matches, to be honest with you. I think, like I said, the opening match alone, I think, had 3 to 4 commercials within itself, just in that match alone. That's a problem. And like I told you guys, I'm not joking around, where I told you guys earlier in the show that I felt like WWE literally made their quota on commercials and television ads alone just with this event for the entire year of 2025. That's how many commercials we got last night. I mean, it was insane. And if you look at the narrative, man, there's 2 shows within WWE and AEW. I mean, they're running back to back. I mean, you got Saturday night's main event that happened last night, and then AEW has Double or Nothing tonight, where this could possibly go down as one of the worst weekends of pay-per-views and professional wrestling history. Double or Nothing is not looking that hot either. It's not. It looks like a very weak card, very predictable. I think a lot of people are only anticipating the Will Ospreay versus Adam Page match, where the winner will go on to All In Arlington, Texas, to face most likely Jon Moxley for the AEW World title. That is the only match that people, or fans, if you will, are really, sinking their teeth into, because there's a lot of excitement around this match. So, this could be a very bad weekend for professional wrestling as far as PLEs or pay-per-views are concerned, man. And honestly, AEW could have struck the iron where the iron's hot, because Saturday's main event was fucking awful. And Double or Nothing, could have been a lot better than what it was. It's very predictable. It's not really story-driven. It's very lackadaisical. So, I don't know, man. I think when you look at WWE right now, I think a lot of people as of late right now are kind of on the fence, because the way Triple H and Nick Khan and Ari Emanuel are running this company, it's more of the business side aspect of the company more than the actual professional wrestling within the company. And that's going to suffer. that's going to suffer. You know, my standpoint also in Zelina Vega, I know a lot of people might be hating me on that. My standpoint's not going to change. Zelina Vega is very lucky at this juncture in her career to still have a job within WWE. What she did last night in that match was fucking awful. Absolutely awful. I mean, the 6-1, I mean, this is something that you've been around Rey Mysterio now for how many months? She's been around Rey Mysterio for quite some time with the LWO. And you have that horrible botch 619. And that, I mean, honestly, that bullshit code red that she hit, man. I mean, Vega, you know, if WWE is not looking in the aspect of possibly letting her go, I'd be very shocked. Very surprised. There's no production out of Zelina, man. There's just not. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to advocate for someone losing their job. But if you look at some of the recent releases that we just got in WWE compared to what Zelina Vega has done in the past 6 months production-wise and progression, you got to ask yourself a lot of questions into this shit, man. You really do. You know, so it's, you know, I don't know. I don't know. Do I like Zelina Vega better than a Braun Strowman? Absolutely fucking not. I don't. I'm sorry, it might be a hot take for y'all, but I don't. At least Strowman was actually in high-profile matches. You could say, oh, well, she just had a title match last night. But what are they doing with that fucking title that actually means any kind of importance? Honestly. Those mid-card the titles for those women mean jack shit. So, and it's so bad that we're getting the same opponents every single time these women defend the belt. Whether it's Michin defending the U.S. title, or it was Vega defending the U.S. title, and then we have Lyra Valkyria defending the title. I mean, it's the same shit week in and week out. There's no storyline around these fucking matches. No one gives a shit about these mid-card matches for these titles. Nobody cares. That's the problem. You booked this match on the goddamn fly. It was literally announced, I think it was like the actual day of the event yesterday. Oh, well, we're going to have Zelina Vega defend the women's U.S. title against Chelsea Green last minute. I mean, come on, bro. Clearly, if it was that important, you would have waited last minute to book the match. I mean, that's just common sense. This card sucked. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. This card absolutely sucked. And to be honest with you, too, I think we're going to run into this issue here with WWE quite a bit, because there was also news that broke literally the night of Saturday Night's Main Event last night that WWE is holding another Saturday Night's Main Event July 12th in Atlanta. And then literally the following day, that Sunday, we're having Evolution 2, July 13th, out of practically the same arena in Atlanta. Back to back. Same weekend, also mind you, that they're going head to head with AEW's biggest show of the year being All In. That's the problem. I'm not sitting here saying that I have tribalism between both companies. I don't. I want both companies to succeed. But you can't sit here and tell me that WWE ain't pulling some fast shit. They are. They are so fixated and focused on what AEW is doing, it's unreal. Where it might not be Tony Khan. This might be something where WWE is sneaking in, trying to corrupt everything that's going on within AEW. Why? You shouldn't be feeling the pressure from AEW. You keep saying that you guys are miles ahead and leagues ahead. Well, why are you always trying to maneuver yourself into whatever the hell AEW is doing? Seems kind of odd, don't you think? I mean, it's fucking petty, man. And honestly, for what it's worth, I mean, I just think it's a big waste of fucking time. Focus on what the fuck you're doing. Honestly. You know what I mean? And I made my gripes about them going back to Vegas. I mean, if you look at the past two prior not the two past prior WrestleManias, but if you look at the two times that WWE has gone to Vegas for WrestleManias, both those Manias have fucking just been shit. They even made a documentary about how bad the first WrestleMania they did at Caesar's Palace. It was fucking awful. And then we get to this one at WrestleMania 41, where you have Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, and the match fucking sucked. Sucked. There was no Rock at all. We get Travis Scott coming out to help The Rock, or help John Cena win the title and become 17-time World Heavyweight Champion, beating the record that he was currently at the time being tied with Ric Flair. It was just a joke, man. It honestly was a joke. Shit needs to change. I mean, that's just the way it is, honestly. And for what it's worth, you know, I even said it earlier. AEW could have struck the iron where the iron's hot. Now, I don't know what we're getting exactly. Now, I know the matches that we're getting, but there could be some surprise returns or whatever, or some incredible matches. But they could have struck the iron where the iron was hot, because I'm telling you right now, Saturday Night's Main Event absolutely sucked last night. And they could have just, you know, especially with Double or Nothing being one of AEW's flagship shows every single year, this might go down as one of the worst Double or Nothings that we've seen ever. So it's just, I don't know, bro. I really don't know. But my standpoint's the same, bro. I think WWE is focused more now on the business aspect than the actual wrestling within the company. And it's starting to slowly unravel itself to be that way. And I think a lot of fans are starting to get frustrated with the mindset and the direction where the company is going because it's more business savvy than it is about the actual wrestling itself. And two, my standpoint's the same on Zelina Vega. Vega is very lucky to have a job still with WWE. I'm sorry. If you're a Vega fan out there, it is what it is, man. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. And I'm just keeping it real. She has not really done that much impactful shit in WWE since she's actually been there. To be honest with you, I mean, for what it's worth, I had more fun with Zelina Vega being a part of WWE television when she was actually aligning herself up with Andrade. To be honest with you, that was the best part of Zelina Vega that we gotten, is when she aligned herself up with Andrade. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you guys. I'm sorry. The in-ring work that she's doing it's not hitting. It's not. It's not. I think Cora Jade's better than Zelina Vega. Absolutely. Absolutely. Braun Strowman, absolutely better than Zelina Vega. There's no production from Zelina. Her in-ring work is trash. I'm sorry. I understand she's a current Women's U.S. Championship, a champion. Her body of work that she's put into has been trash, bro. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to tell y'all. It's dog shit. I told you guys, man, I'm going to keep it real. And for what it's worth, that shit is bad. That botch 619 was so fucking awful last night. And Chelsea Green was trying to do whatever she can to sell that match. To be honest with you. And I had to give credit where credit's due to Chelsea Green. Vega was all over the place. The shit was sloppy. That code red off the top rope looked fucking sloppy. It's just, if anything, I'm not sitting here saying I want her to get fired, but she might need to go back to NXT. She needs some more training, bro. She's not ready. She's not. I said the same thing about Jade Cargill, and a lot of people were like, oh, man, that's a hot take. Well, bro, 5 moves of doom. How far is it really going to get you? You know what I mean? It is what it is. There's other wrestlers that even come from AEW where you're still thinking, like, damn, bro, what the hell's going on? Like Andrade. Andrade can wrestle. Where's Andrade? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I don't know, man. And it was, for what it's worth, it's even since the return of Miro and the return of Aleister Black, it wasn't like these guys got a standing ovation when they walked back in the doors of WWE. Miro and Aleister Black have come back to WWE to the fans, where the fans, it's literally crickets when these guys come out. So, I don't know, bro. I don't know. But my mindset's the same. I'm very surprised that Vegas still has a job. And after what happened last night, if she was on the chopping block for the next cuts and she got cut, would I be upset about it? No, I wouldn't. I would not. Because that match she had last night was fucking awful. I'm sorry. You've been with this company for so long now, bro, and you're sitting here trying to be in the rotations and have more TV time, bro. But if you're doing that kind of shit and that production that you're putting on and that performance that you're putting on, and it's like that, you're the back of the line, in my honest opinion. To be honest with you. You had to earn that spot, bro. I'm sorry. She can sit back there and whine and bitch and complain about not getting her spot. But as a fan, I'm sick and tired of that shit. I really am. Because you get to that main event spot, and then you fall under pressure. When you've been with this company now for how long? Seriously. You know what I mean? Zelina Vega can go. See you later. Sorry. I have all the respect in the world for Aleister Black. I do. Because the guy can actually wrestle. But, God, dude, the Vega, I don't know. And it's frustrating because if you look at the last, talent cuts, and you look at someone like Zelina Vega, it's like, bro, I'm shocked that she wasn't in the conversation for possible release from the company. To be honest with you, and if I'm not mistaken, she could have been released at one time before. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on that, but I wouldn't be surprised if she gets released. To be honest with you, it's just it was a shitty match, bro. It's just the match was fucking awful. It was. The first match to kick it off, everybody and their grandmother was anticipating that tag team match with Zayn, Punk taking on Breakker and Rollins. And majority of the fucking match was pure commercials. The best part we got about that match was the return of Bronson Reed. That's it. Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, that was probably the best match of the night. Jey Uso and Logan Paul, it's shit the bed. And what we got out of it, the return of Cody Rhodes. And then Cody makes an announcement that it will be himself teaming up with Jey Uso to take on John Cena and Logan Paul at Money in the Bank. That's what we're getting. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel as if you're a sole WWE fan and that's it, you need to start looking at the narrative, bro, because I feel like this company's looking more into the business aspect of WWE than the actual wrestling itself. And I think the wrestling aspect of these shows are actually suffering, because if you look at Monday Night Raw and SmackDown as of late, it's been hard to watch. Some of the people that I've talked to that have been doing this for years in the community have been saying that watching SmackDown at this point is becoming a chore and not something fun to stick around for 3 hours to watch SmackDown, because SmackDown is now 3 hours and it's hard to fucking watch. Raw is not that better either. So, I mean, it's shit has to change, bro. It has to change. And like I told you guys, you can't tell me that they're not looking more in the business aspect of things than they are the actual wrestling, when you have the announcement that they pulled out of New Orleans and going back to Las Vegas back-to-back from WrestleMania 41 to WrestleMania 42. It's a big slap in the face of the fans of New Orleans. And I told you guys that. And as far as the fans of New Orleans are concerned, I do feel bad for you guys, because that's a humongous letdown. The Rock comes out on national television and says, oh yeah, we're going to WrestleMania 42 going to New Orleans. And then WWE and Tony and Nick Khan and Ari Emanuel seemingly just sweep the rug underneath all those fans that live in the Louisiana, New Orleans area. It's a slap in the fucking face. Honestly, it's a slap in the face. And I told you guys, and some of the people I talked to, imagine having the Super Bowl in the same fucking place for the next 4 to 5 years. Come on, man. Come on. NFL ain't doing no shit like that. No way. No way. They might go back to the same arena or stadium, if you will, after a couple years. They might go, Superdome, they'll go to the Superdome, and then a couple years later they'll go back or whatever, or they'll go to Atlanta. Something like that. But to do it back to back, no shot in hell. So, I don't know. Like I said, if I was just a solely WWE fan, I'd be very concerned in the direction of where this company's going, because it seems like it's more business savvy at this point than it is about the actual wrestling itself. And I get it, it's a business, but if you're just doing it in that aspect, in that way, the wrestling's going to be suffering for it. And the fans are there to see the wrestling. They give a shit less about the business aspect of this shit. They want to see good matches. They want to see compelling storylines. And if they're focused on the business side of WWE, that's something that has to play second fiddle, and it's most likely going to be the actual wrestling aspect of these shows. And it's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt them bad. So, like I said, man, at the end of the day, Saturday Main Event was a flop. I was not a big fan of the show. I think a lot of the people that I've talked to, especially in the community, were not thrilled about this fucking show. They thought it was a big waste of time. Very commercial and very commercial heavy. And it made the show sufferable. It was not a good show, man. From top to bottom, it wasn't. The best part about this entire show was the return of Bronson Reed. And that was probably the best part of this entire event that happened last night. But with that being said, this is my review of WWE Saturday Night's Main Event. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember,